It's summer of 813. From atop the Theodosian walls, the garrison of Constantinople watches as the Conasibigi of Bulgaria performs pagan ritual sacrifice with an army of horse lords at his back. In the 2 years prior, 60,000 Romans met their end facing Krum, with the head of Nicephorus I being turned into a cup and Michael I Rangave forced to abdicate. Even more horrifying, the Bulgar Khan stormed two major walled cities on the Bulgarian frontier, Serdica and Mesembria, and besieged a third, Adrianople, the main defensive gateway leading to Constantinople and second most important imperial city. Now, Krum assembled all the tribes and marched them down to the walls of Constantinople, parading Avars, Slavs, and Bulgars within view of the legendary walls. The psychology of Eastern Romans said this was merely a show of force, yet it was also considered impossible for these semi-nomads to capture any walled cities at all prior to the reign of Krum the Fearsome. From inside the city, Leo V the Armenian, Strategoi of Armeniacs, knew personally of the Khan's capabilities, where he was the first Roman to flee the battlefield at Versinikia. With the abdication of the former emperor, the Armenian resolved the leadership crisis by accepting the burden of the crown. The Khan, already sieging Adrianople and being vastly overextended, relied on panic and crisis to force the Romans into submission. Now, with the crisis resolved, the walls at full strength, and the naval gateways open for resupply, Krum recognized the futility of sieging the great city, and bid the emperor negotiate. Outside the Golden Gate, Krum approached with his son-in-law and the Kafkan of Bulgaria, the former serving as a translator and the latter as second in command. Finally, Romans and Bulgars agreed to set aside the sword in favor of peace and cooperation. As Krum and his entourage approached the Roman delegates, the absence of the emperor forced the Khan to raise his brow. When he noticed the Romans signaling to the nearby brush, the Khan bolted to his horse. An arrow plunged into his side as he mounted his steed and made his escape. His advisors were not so lucky. Rage and fury visited the Khan that night, blessing him with a renewed appetite for war. The last time a Roman emperor insulted the peace offering of Krum, his head was made into a cup, and his army into corpses. But this was different. Leo V had violated the sacred flag of peace and captured the Khan's kin and advisors in the process. With blood still dripping from his wound, Krum turned his army away from Constantinople, not because the great city would be spared, but because the empire's second would fall first. Adrianople had been surrounded for weeks by the Khan's brother, but now, Krum invested the city with his full attention, building siege engines with the help of the Roman defectors. Emperor Hadrian had built a formidable set of walls 6 centuries prior, populated by tens of thousands and manned by a garrison of several thousand. The siege would be a significant undertaking for the Bulgarians. However, with the conquest of Serdica, Mesembria, and every fortress in between, the Bulgars had earned proficiency in siege warfare. As they prepared to assault the walls, something major happened within the city: famine. With no outside help coming and already enduring a lengthy siege, the garrison and civilians began to die of starvation. Faced with no other options, they opened negotiations with Krum. The Bulgarians, having suffered major losses on the home front against Nicephorus, allowed the Romans the right to be deported across the Danube, instead of dying in resistance. Among these deportees was the family of a certain Basil I, future emperor of Eastern Romans. Not only was Adrianople captured, but the rest of Thrace was devastated, including the rich city of Archaeopolis. Krum deported the population there too, including architectural elements and the artisans necessary to recreate them in Bulgaria. Having now taken every fortress between Constantinople and Bulgaria, the Khan could finally destroy the great imperial city. He prepared for an enormous siege, recruiting specialists, stockpiling iron, creating siege engines, massing transport equipment, and pre-building multiple artillery pieces. Rumors spread among the Romans that as many as 5,000 wagons were prepared to transport all of the siege equipment. Krum was architecturing divine vengeance as he prepared for this siege, remembering the destruction wrought on Bulgaria by Nicephorus in the betrayal during negotiations by Leo V the Armenian. There was a certain irony in the situation. It was not the numerous, rich, and sedentary Arabs that might take the great city, but the backward upstarts from the north. As preparations finished, Brum, slayer of Romans, taker of cities, and pillager of Thrace, suffered a massive stroke and died. All Romans inside Constantinople and without breathed a sigh of relief, yet the bloodshed between Bulgars and Romans would rage on for centuries to come.